Hey everybody, what's going on? It's James here with Crypto Common Sense, and I have your Bitcoin/cryptocurrency update for Wednesday, February the 5th. Before I jump into the content, please do me a huge favor, hit the thumbs up button on the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click that bell icon to get notifications when I release new updates. So the last 24 hours have been quite the roller coaster for Bitcoin investors and Bitcoin traders. I'm going to dig into what happened, why it happened, and what I think is coming next for Bitcoin. So the first chart we're going to talk about today is a simple daily chart. This is a Coinbase chart. We have our downward channel, which we stayed in for 6 months or so, and of course now we've been in this upward sloping channel really since I would say mid-December. Yesterday's candle did pop up and put a wick above that channel, and it looked briefly like it might go ahead and take a run, but ultimately it did fall back down and close right inside the channel. So a couple things going on here. Okay, we're going to look at the 4-hour chart in just a few minutes, but from a daily perspective, nothing has actually changed. We're still inside the channel, and if we look at our RSI, we had this double top here. Remember, with double tops, you often will see price, or in this case RSI, come back to test what's called the neckline, which is this green line here. You can see it came right back up. Perfect test yesterday, and so far it's curving down, but today just started, right? 23 hours left. Essentially, if we get a move above this and a close above this, I think we'll see Bitcoin go on quite the tear. I don't think it's going to go up to 9,700, close there, and then suddenly collapse. I think it's probably going to go much higher than what a lot of people expect. I'm not saying to the moon or all-time highs. I'm saying much higher on this push, right, to wash out anybody that's short, and also to trap some new bulls. Now, when I say new bulls, I'm not saying that they're going to get trapped and price is going to suddenly collapse back down to $1,000. I'm not talking about the macro picture. I'm talking about the local picture, the picture from back here in December to where we're at now, or wherever it is we top at. Right now, it's very difficult to be bearish on a macro picture. It's difficult to look at this and say, okay, I think we're going to new lows. The reality is on the daily, we've been in this uptrend for a month and a half now. It does seem to be sustaining itself. Each time price goes up, it comes back down and tests the previous highs, and we keep getting these resistance flips. And we keep seeing these old highs flip into support. So it came up through it, turned into support. Then over here, it came up through this level of resistance right here, came down, turned into support. Up here, it came up, turned it from resistance, boom, turn into support, right? We see it over and over and over again. So it is a little bit tough to say that, hey, this is going to go right back down and make a new low like October, because October had very different structure. October had these two giant candles that ended up, being a 30 or 40% move, whereas this has been a much more sustainable staircase pattern, which is what I really want to see when I'm looking for trends. Now, that being said, we are currently sitting right on top of the weekly high from back here. So remember, we need to close above 95.48 for me to get macro bullish, okay? We're about as close as we can get without it happening. And again, if you guys remember last week, I talked about the fact that I hated the weekly close because it closed right underneath it, okay? So I needed to wait a whole nother week before I found out whether we were going to get that close that I was, either looking for, or whether or not we were going to get a hard rejection and a new low. Sitting right at it, okay? There's obviously 4 days left in the week. It's a whole lot of time, so we'll just have to see what happens on the weekly level. But on the daily level, like I said, we've been in an uptrend now for about a month and a half, and it's been looking fairly strong. So what that makes me think is if price does pull back, which, by the way, there's various divergences popping up all over the place. We have a rising wedge, etc., etc. I'll talk about that in a minute. It does look like it's ready to pull back, but I'm not going to call tops on it, right? I'm just going to let it do its thing, and we'll see where it goes and when it happens. Up until then, I'll just have to trade the smaller time frames where I'm doing like a 5-minute charts and 1-hour charts, and taking those scalps basically for a couple percent. And by the way, guys, I'm just going to take a little side note here. I get a lot of trash talk. Sometimes you guys might see them. Sometimes I might delete the comments or ban people from the channel before you see them, But I do get a lot of negative comments. I get DMs from people on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and things, and a lot of negativity. And it's from both sides. It's from the bulls and the bears, right? There's always people that think they know better. So, for example, and I'm not going to call this person out by name, they know who they are. A certain person on this YouTube channel gave me 9 kinds of hell because I was trading and taking 2 and 3% scalps on my shorts from, $9 grand, 9,200, and they were basically bragging about how they were short and they weren't going to close that short until price made a new low, and so on and so on and so on. I tried to explain then that risk management, trading plans, and all that stuff mattered, right? Well, now look, right? Price is even higher than it was then. So no, I wasn't a fool for taking profits when it dropped to 82.80. Today, it was the bulls just beating the dog shit out of me, right? I had people on Twitter. One guy just went completely nuts, calling me a retard and everything else, right? He'd been following me for the last 6 or 7 months. Of course, he loved me when all my bearish calls were working out, and I guess he was trading them and making money off them. And then today he decided to call me a retard and go off on a tangent about how my bearishness had cost people money, right? First of all, my bearishness didn't cost anybody money. If somebody's trading based off of my videos and nothing else, that's their fault. You should never watch a video and then decide that you're going to, trade off of that video alone. Nobody watching this channel knows how much money I have. Nobody watching this channel knows how much crypto I have. Nobody watching this channel knows what my net worth is. Nobody watching this channel knows what my big picture plans are, how this fits into my life as a whole. All those things matter, right? So as an example, one of the things this person got really pissed off about was the fact that I mentioned I was, in some long positions on some altcoins. And he basically said, well, you didn't tell us you were in long positions. You've just been bearish this whole time, right? Well, I'm not, required to disclose every trade I take. That's ridiculous, number one. But number two, guys, I always have crypto, right? And I have talked about this in the past. I have been transparent about this. I just don't mention it in every video, but I want to mention it now because I think it's important that people understand this. I always keep between 10 and 20% of my portfolio in crypto, okay? I have a certain amount of money that I've allocated to cryptocurrencies. Most of that money, right now, 80% or so, is in fiat, right? Some of that money is in altcoins and some of that money is in Bitcoin. It ranges. Like if we're using easy math, right? Let's say somebody has a $1,000 portfolio, right? If they have $200 worth of altcoins and $800 cash, that $200 is 20%. But if those alts go up in value, then it might be 25%. Or if those alts lose value, it might be 15%. Same story with me. I always have between 10 and 20% of my portfolio in crypto. And essentially that works as a hedge in case I'm wrong and one day this thing suddenly shoots up 20, 30, 40, 50% or some crazy number, right? At least I have some crypto. And it's not a fear of missing out thing. It's mostly free positions, right? Positions where I bought a coin low, I sold it high, and then I bought it back with the profits and cashed out my initial investment. In a few cases like Zcash, it's actually an investment that's down like, 90% or something. I mined a bunch of Zcash, long story short, never sold it. I still have it, stuff like that. Okay. So for me, that's okay, right? For me, if I completely miss the boat and this thing goes up to, 50 grand while I go to sleep tonight, which is almost impossible, but let's just say it did, I would still be happy. Sure, it'd be a bit of a bummer that I didn't have more than I have, but I have enough that if Bitcoin does go to new highs, $50, $75, $100,000, it would still be a very nice payday for me, right? It wouldn't be like, hey, I'm going to buy every family member a new house and a Lamborghini, but it would be a nice payday. We'll leave it at that, okay? So you've got to remember all that. When you're doing your trading and you're doing your trade plan and stuff, are you leaving 10% in? Are you leaving 20% in? Is your 20% enough that it's going to be a big deal someday? Right? All that stuff matters, right? So just keep that in mind, okay? Right now, what I'm personally looking for is the same thing that I've been looking for. I'd really like to see it pull back to this area, and I'd like to see how Bitcoin acts if it gets down there, okay? If we draw Fibonacci levels, that's right between the 50 and the 61.8 Fibonacci levels. So not quite to the golden pocket, but fairly close. Also, if you look at a daily chart, okay, of the CME, we have 3 CME gaps that are kind of within range of us. There's one above us, it's up around $11,795, and there's 2 below us, one at $8,540 and one at $7,685. This is the one that's very interesting down here because, again, it's right around just under 7,700, and if we're looking at fibs, 7705 is our actual 61.8 Fibonacci level, okay? So again, I'm not going to sit and do videos every day talking about the big picture macro bearish stuff. Right now, the first thing that I'm concerned about is, number one, are we going to pull back? And if we pull back, are we going to find support down here? We're in a daily uptrend, so before we start talking about macro bearish pictures again, really this needs to turn back into a daily downtrend. So until this thing starts putting in lower highs and lower lows on a daily chart, I don't really think there's a whole lot of point in talking about big picture bearish stuff, right? Because the daily is bullish, and it's been bullish for a while, and it's been sustaining itself and moving up quite nicely. So I lean toward the idea that this next pullback, whenever it comes, might actually be a correction, right? Meaning that it's a dip versus a falling knife. But I can't say that for sure until I actually see the price action and see what happens, right? If it's a straight candle down, that's going to be different than if it suddenly turns into a downtrend where it's down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, right? Kind of what I'm watching there. Again, on the RSI, I would keep an eye on this level here. A break above it is bullish. The close underneath it is bearish, okay? On the 6-hour chart, a couple things on this chart. Again, we can see our rising wedge here, which is bearish in nature, but until it breaks out, it's just a pattern. It's just lines on a chart, okay? If it breaks north, obviously that would be bullish. If it breaks south, that's going to be very bearish. But not a big deal, right? If we measure it from this opening over here to here, it's actually about 920 bucks. If you draw the wedge a little bit differently, where you think this is the wedge, which I think is also acceptable, then it's about $1,000. Okay, so one of those two, 900 to $1,000. If it falls at the bottom of it, that gives a target down around $8,000, $8,200, somewhere in that ballpark. Again, semi-close to that 61.8 fib, all right? And this is a 6-hour chart, and what we see is we see prices making higher high, higher high, higher high, so on and so forth. But we actually have RSI making lower highs. And yesterday, this actually got rejected right on this trend line. Now, when I draw it right now, it's going to look like it didn't touch it because it pulled back before the close. But this actually was sitting right at this line, and then it got rejected, and when it closed, it was back down here. All right. So did look like a pretty good rejection. Did look like it's a sign that price might want to go back down. But let's zoom in a little closer. The thing that you really got to watch is this green line. What is this green line? Well, on the weekly chart, this green line is the close of this red candle. Basically, this was the neckline of this giant double top. Okay, and now we're coming back up. We came back up in October. We tested it. It held up. We closed right on it. And now we're doing the same thing. So 95.33 is this level on Coinbase. And of course, this high right here was 95.48. Okay, so that general area was resistance. Now it's going to be support. Does the support hold? That remains to be seen. Okay, but right now that is an area of support, and as long as we're on top of it, it's a little dangerous to get overly bearish, right? You don't want to short support, and you don't want a long resistance. Well, this is support, so I won't be opening any shorts right on top of it. Okay. As far as this red line that you might be noticing on the chart, this is actually just a trend line drawn from the all-time high in 2017 to our highest close in 2019, and we get this trend line. Again, right now it looks like we're above it. The red lines, the red ghost bars, just a fractal, nothing more. It's basically these bars here, if they repeat themselves. Again, I don't want to get too deep into macro bearish stuff. I just don't think there's reason to talk about it until price unfolds a little bit more. But since it's on the chart, I thought I'd explain what it was. Okay. It is interesting, by the way, how it looks like it comes down and then finds resistance all along this line, but who knows? Okay, who knows? So that's what I'm seeing on the daily. That's what I'm seeing on the 4-hour chart. And of course, that's what I'm seeing on the CME chart as well. If we take a look at Bitcoin dominance, I still feel like this might be an ascending triangle, with this being our top and this being our bottom. For me, what I'm watching is how price acts when it gets to one of these two levels. If it gets down here and finds support, that would lend credibility to this idea that this is an ascending triangle. If it gets down here and just falls right through it, the triangle's out the window, and I think that's going to be a sign that we're probably going to be entering at least some type of mini alt season, if not a full-blown alt season, right? Where dominance just completely falls off a cliff, kind of like it has done in the past. On the flip side, if it finds support there and starts moving back up, it could potentially be bearish in nature. If it gets all the way up here and breaks through this line, that's the type of event that might see some alts actually crumble, okay? So I will keep an eye on this, but this moves pretty slow. To give you an idea of this move from the top right here to where we're at now, it took about a month, okay? So I don't really think it's going to happen, overnight or anything of that sort. For altcoins, I'm not going to go into altcoins individually today. They all look fairly similar. Most of them have broke for 50 or 100%, some of them 200%, etc. And most of them, if not all of them, have broke above their 200-day moving averages. So that's pretty bullish in nature. And like we've talked about in past videos, the alts did put in a higher high on the weekly already. So, unlike Bitcoin, they've already confirmed that they've broken out of their downtrend on the weekly. I mean, it's very, very easy to see here. Okay, so what I'm watching for in alts is the same thing that I have been watching for. I'm really watching for a pullback so that I can add to the positions I have and open some new positions on some coins that I don't have, right? I want to wait for the correction to take place before I jump into alts. And you can see that they've basically been overbought now for, nearly a month. It's a fairly long time to be overbought, and they're probably due for some type of correction. Hard to call tops on them right now. They've been really, really strong, so I don't want to, give you any impression that I think that they're done. I really don't know. I just don't know what's going on with alts. I don't know how high they're going to go. For my sake, I hope they correct pretty soon so that I can get into some good positions. If not, I'll just have to wait and be patient. And if they just go up too high and don't correct, then I'll just have to be satisfied with the altcoins that I'm holding, which is also okay. Okay. One thing I want to talk about real quickly, and then I'm going to wrap this video up, is, guys, everybody has a different trade style. Everybody has a different investment style. But if you want to be a trader and you want to be a position trader specifically, where you're trying to basically buy bottoms or close to bottoms and ride it up for like long term, I showed you guys Zcash back when it was around $30. And I said, hey, this is exactly what you want to see if you want to go long on a coin. And I remember specifically people commenting, at least a few people, saying that Zcash was trash. Now, I want you to look at Zcash, and it performed, I'm sure there are coins that perform better, but as far as the coins that I personally watch, this is one of the best performing coins that I've seen. It's up 189.53% from its November low, okay? So I just want to quickly recap that. If you didn't see that past video, or maybe you saw it and you kind of brushed it off because you're like, Zcash, yeah, right. Okay, again, what I was watching for when that took place, I was watching for a weekly W. So price came down, price came up, came down, and then broke through this neckline at $33.28, right? That's a very, very bullish sign, especially when you're coming down. This was coming out of oversold territory on a weekly chart. So that was two different reasons that you might have wanted to go long on Zcash. If you look at a daily chart, there was actually bullish divergence on this thing. So you had price making a lower low, you had RSI making a higher low, and you essentially had support sitting right here around the $27 mark, and it was just sitting there consolidating on top of that support. So if you look, just day after day, week after week, it was consolidating right on that line over and over and over again. So a couple ways that a person could have played it. They could have entered down around that support at 27.10, or they could have been more conservative and entered if it broke the neckline up around 33.19. Both of those would have been viable strategies, and of course in this case you can see that they would have paid off very, very nicely. Okay, again, I just wanted to remind you guys of this. This is just a very simple strategy. It works on most stocks. It works on altcoins. It works on Bitcoin. It works on Litecoin, Ethereum. It's just a very simple strategy, right? Look for the bullish divergences on the daily. Look for the weekly W's, and look for support basically. If you guys have questions about that, please be sure and let me know. Right now, the most important thing is simply keep your head about you. There's obviously a lot of bulls saying, I told you so, I told you so. But we really don't know whether or not, we're going to continue going up from here. We have to wait and see what the weekly looks like before we can confirm that this is indeed a new bull market. All right? And again, I lean that it probably is at this point, but better safe than sorry. With all that being said, please remember I am literally some guy sitting in a spare bedroom. Nothing in the video is financial advice. Nothing in the video is trade advice. You should always do your own due diligence and seek out professional investment advice for making any type of investment in cryptocurrency. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And don't forget you can check the description for links where you can follow me on TradingView, Twitter, where you can join my free Facebook group, and where you can join my trading course if you'd like to learn technical analysis and how to trade. This is James with Crypto Common Sense reminding you to please trade safe.